Hi everybody, it's Honest John again. Now, a pretty obvious statement. I'm a bald man. I've learned to live with it. But I have to admit that a head full of hair looks a lot better than a head without it. I started losing my hair in high school. And there really was nothing to be done about it. There were toupees, but I'm allergic to most of the glues and adhesives that they use to keep a toupee in place. And a toupee looks like a toupee. And not comfortable. I mean, who wants to put a fur hat on your head on a hot day? By the time I was in my mid-20s, I was in full comb-over mode. I grew the hair on this side of my head long and combed it across the top until one day I looked in the mirror and said, "This is stupid," and I cut it off. People have been searching for a cure for baldness for centuries. The ancient Egyptians used a mixture of fats from the hippopotamus and the crocodile and other animals, none of which really worked. The ancient Greeks mixed opium, horseradish, and pigeon droppings, which didn't help and made your head smell weird. But at least you got the little opium high. The ancient Greek physician Hippocrates noticed that eunuchs didn't go bald. And that's true, they don't. But what's the point of having a full head of hair if you can't have sex? So that's a bad trade-off. One of the first known comb-overs was done by Julius Caesar. What he did was he grew his hair long in the back and then combed it forward, which just looked strange. So he started wearing laurel wreaths. And if you look at the sculptures of Julius Caesar, he usually has a laurel wreath on his head. This was being used to cover up his baldness. In the 19th century, aristocrats over in Europe started wearing long, elaborate powdered wigs, and they actually became a status symbol. So even people who had hair would wear these wigs to look like the aristocracy. But after the American Revolution, imitating European royalty fell out of fashion, at least here in the United States. In the 19th century, there were a lot of snake oil salesmen who insisted that their potions could cure everything, and that included baldness. When they didn't work, these snake oil salesmen often found themselves being tarred and feathered and run out of town by dissatisfied customers. In the 20th century, the Allied Merck Institute marketed a thermocap device, which was supposed to stimulate hair growth. He used it in a combination with a blue light, and it didn't work. In 1936, the Crosley Corporation invented the Zervax machine, which was essentially a vacuum cleaner which you put on your head, and the suction was supposed to force your hair to grow. All it did was make people feel uncomfortable while they were wearing the hat. In 1939, a Japanese dermatologist developed the first hair transplant, grafting hair from the scalp, eyebrows, face, and other hairy body parts, if you had them, onto the top of your head. And this was kind of effective, but it kind of looked like, made the top of your head look like a doll's head. It was not very attractive. You can still get hair transplants today, and they do look a bit better, but not that great. And then there is scalp reduction surgery. This is what Donald Trump had done. What they do is they cut away the bald part of the scalp and then the sides are pulled over and sewn together, because the hair on the side of your heads, for some reason or another, is not programmed to fall out like the hair on the top of your head is. The only trouble is that this hair has to now cover all of this space, and it looks weird. Anybody who's ever looked at Donald Trump can tell you that. So if you think that looking like that is better than being bald, well, go for it. There are sprays that you can get which essentially color your scalp the same color as your hair. If you only have a little bald spot, that actually is a pretty good way of covering up the fact that you're going bald. And then there is hairline lowering, which if your hair is receding from the front, then LeBron James has had this done, I believe, where you just kind of pull the hair forward. Now, if you lose that hair, then you've got a scar, and you're still going bald. But, I mean, take a look at LeBron. It looks pretty good. Minoxidil, which you can just apply as a lotion to the scalp, does promote hair growth in about 40% of men. So if there's a 40% chance that if you're going bald and you try it, it would work for you. And then there's also a drug called finasteride, which is a pill, which prevents testosterone from turning into dihydrotestosterone, which is the stuff that shrinks your hair follicles and makes your hair falls out. So if it works for you, and it works in about 60% of people, it slows hair loss and even promotes regrowth in about 60% of men. So if you start when you're young, you just might be able to grow old with at least some hair on the top. If I'd have been born, say, in the 1980s, I would have probably gotten some of those treatments and would probably not be a full bald-headed guy today. But as you get old, even if you have a full head of hair, it's naturally going to thin out. That's just life. Thanks for listening. Well, I want to thank you all for watching my videos. But there are certain changes that Google has made to YouTube, which, since I'm a smaller channel, means that I can't monetize my videos. So I found places where I can. So instead of watching my videos here on YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you go either to Patreon or to Top Buzz. They let me monetize videos, and I don't even have to put commercials on. So if you want to become a patron on Patreon, that's fine. If you don't, you can still watch the videos there. I've just kind of given up on YouTube. YouTube is just a place that I use so that I can put my videos in other places. So, Patreon, Top Buzz, the links are in the description box. Thanks a lot.